systems that support the e-business framework. And we spoke about what computers, right? We spoke about servers, and those of us who do not know, servers are like the storage facilities or storage systems or storage devices that keep the records of the business, the e-commerce, business. Okay, so it's very important to note these things, and so that it will help in our extensive knowledge on what we need to know between the two, right? And we also learned that the servers are not particularly in specific areas, right? Sometimes you can have your servers outside your business. Sometimes you can contract a third party to handle that for you, and so that they would take care of every cost that is incurred in the process of storing your items. And so those of us who are new to this server thing, the server is basically where, for instance, a website stores its data. So everything you see on a website has a particular space that has been stored, right? And each item you see displayed is actually stored, whether they are videos, whether they are pictures, texts, even the arrangement, the way everything pops up is embedded in the code, right, of the website or the web app, right, of the e-business or the e-commerce platform. Is that all right? So companies, I made mention of companies like Jumia and so on in Ghana, right? And they have, imagine the list of items they have up for sale, right? And you see that they have to invest a lot in storing this data. And the fact that one seller can have almost over hundreds of goods, each with its own specification and so on and so forth, right? And so you would realize that a company like that would invest a lot in their database and so on. Do you get it? So we talked about that, the concept of all those things. And so these are some of the structures, right? These are some of the frameworks. These are also what the architectures, right? Or the technologies used in this industry. So when we say architecture, when we say framework, we are using them interchangeably, right? So I'm intentionally mentioning them now so that you don't get confused, okay? Because sometimes they use framework, sometimes they use structures, sometimes they use technologies, then interchangeably with the architecture and so on. The architecture can also be the guidelines or the rules that guides the system, right, in order for it to work seamlessly. Because one of the things you want to have as e-commerce business entity is that your company or your business is running smoothly without any interruption. So imagine if Jumia's work or their website is interrupted with an upgrade or let's say a problem. That means that whatever activity is going on at that time would be lost, right? Would affect the business greatly. So they will lose a lot of profit. Imagine the number of sales they make per day or per minute. All these things are going to be lost. So there's a need for e-commerce entities to have a seamless flow of their activities, right? So these systems are very, very important. These systems are very important, these structures. So We went on to talk about the e-business architecture. Remember that the e-business is the mother of the e-commerce framework. So we said what? We need for the continuous development of those technologies, the need for the continuous development of those technologies will make new digital products and services available in the future, right? So what at all is the e-business architecture, which we have spoken about? The e-business architecture is more than just a collection of technologies and products. It consists of several architectural models and is much like a city plan in that it defines a blueprint that would make current and future needs of a diverse user population and normally adapts to changing business and technology requirements. So basically, the architecture is more than what the eye needs, where we see the product. It's not just about seeing the website and what is sold on the website, but behind the scenes, there are real people who manage the affairs and the running of the website. And then there are different departments, even in those businesses, right? Like I mentioned. And so the e-business entails it so much, right? That's how. That's why it fits, or it fits to be called the mother of e-commerce. So e-business architectures leverage web technologies to implement mission-critical e-business applications. Right? These architectures use clients that have small footprints to access services provided by resource managers and access across a strong and reliable network. These clients can be browsers running on PCs or network devices, PDAs, cell phones, and other pervasive computing devices. Now, basically, having these devices exposes you to have access to any of these platforms. Now, if you have any platform or these devices that have access to the internet, so any device that has the access to the internet, right, pretty much can expose you to these platforms if they have these clients, right? The browsers, the Opera Minis, the Chromes, and you know them, right? Firefox and Microsoft Edge. I think it has been discontinued, but I guess some people are still using, so it's still valid, right? Yeah. So e-business architecture basically also involves what? The thin client e-business architecture that support these solutions, right, and are based upon web technologies across a network. Like I said, without the internet, you can't have the business. And so we want to break it down and see what they entail, right? So we have the breakdown of the browsers that helps us, right? So they help us to bridge the gap and have access to the internet. So we normally call them the browsers, right? So these are the other things. So the characteristics are what? Thin, small footprint, portable, OS dependent, protocol independent. So everything. What are some of the features? When we ask you what are some of the features of these systems, right? This is what we are talking about. So responsibilities. The responsibilities are what? Present data to users, presents data to users, validate input data, verify data types, validates valid numeric and alpha data, use appropriate application services to access and update data. So basically, it is for presentation. If you look at it holistically, right? It helps you, and it's dependent also on the OS you are using. And we also have the application service. The application service, which its characteristics are to control the logical unit of work, reusable components, and we have protocol independence, right? And their responsibilities, you can use the same characteristics, its features to be its responsibilities, but for technical reasons, you need to put them in sentences, much explainable sentences. Otherwise, these ones are repetitive, right? So when we talk about the characteristics of something, what the person has, right? What if I ask you, what do you have in your hand? And you say you are able to identify that you have, let's say, a pen. What are the responsibilities of a pen, right? Good. So if you have a tool, so far as you're able to identify the tool, you will know its responsibilities. That's basically what it is. So you don't need to chew these things in your head. You just need to know the characteristics, and then you'll be able to translate what you have into what it does. You get it? And what it does is what we call the responsibilities. And so this is it. We've gone through all these things, so I don't want to stress my time on these things. I'm just preparing you for the coming IA, and so that you be prepared. So this is almost like a revision, right? 1, 2, 1, 2. E-business architecture characteristics. So with the e-business characteristics, right? Its framework. So the systems that we use to engage in the e-business, what are its features? So if we allow you to go straight to mention the features, you realize that you mention them haphazardly, right? And so there's a way to control that. You can pick a topic, let's say when it comes to adaptability. What are the features of e-business when it comes to adaptability? Do you get it? And so on. So you can just pick and then explain. You pick and then you explain. So that is it. That is it. That is it. That is it. And so these are e-business architecture key influences. Exactly. The overall e-business strategy of the organization. The business drivers such as time to market, one-to-one customer service, the current IT environment, IT vision, objectives and strategies, organizational constraint, staff budgets, risk tolerance, new and emerging technologies, right? These are some of the things that influences. So when we say something influences, it's another way of saying the things that affect. So when we say affect or influences, either advantage, does it give it an advantage, or it's disadvantage? So whatever gives it an advantage, or whatever makes it a disadvantage, whatever boosts your business, or whatever makes the thing not work, these are the things we talk about. So the very things or the core things that affect, you see, e-business systems, right? E-business frameworks is what we spoke about here, right? E-business architecture into details, this time with the diagrams. We have the business vision itself. Before you start the business, you need to have the plan for which you want to do the business, the vision of the business as a whole. And then you should know that the business is an IT firm as well. And so you need to know how the IT objectives too are framed, so that you be able to meet current demands all over the world, so that your business will not be behind. You should also be aware of existing IT environments, right? So that you can be able to catch up with your competitors and so on. And then you are also looking at new and emerging technology as always. So all these things help you to stay in touch with these things. I'm just brushing through so that we just catch up. These are creating the look and feel of the e-business solution. So these are the models that involve the e-business architecture that we're speaking about, right? Digital branding architecture. The key components of digital branding effort include developing an online brand, extending a strong brand across multiple channels, right? And developing guidelines for representing the brand across the web, right? You see, so when you want to put your business in a very good position, there's a way and manner you coil or you frame or you communicate digitally or physically, right? There's a way you brand yourself, right, in order to maintain that integrity as the e-business entity or e-commerce entity, right? You need to make sure that the very system that helps you to maintain the name of your brand is top notch, right? So, there is a type of or there's a kind, when they mention your business name, you must be known for a particular thing, right? Or so just like when you mention Jumia, the connotation that you attach to the name Jumia is like, oh, these people, they are credible. They mean business. When you are dealing with them, it's safe. But when we mention Gigi is like a no man's island, a no man's land. So when you get there, it's like everybody's doing what they want there. It's not really safe. Do you get it? So basically, you should be known for a particular line or a particular way of presenting yourself as an e-commerce entity or a e-business entity. All right. And it all entails in your branding and what you invest in your systems, right? That would make you, so things like you see the way even you attend to your customers online. It also shows how serious you are as a company. Imagine this company, what was their name? Temu, right? Is it Temu? They also are engaged in buying and selling, where a lot of people are complaining that they buy some items and the items they buy are not the same as they saw online. And the company is pretty much not attending to these concerns of the customers, right? Rather, they keep doing more adverts. They keep doing more, bringing in more people. You see, but in the long run, it will tarnish the image, the image of their brand, and such that people will not be interested in patronizing their how do you call it? Their brand. Do you get it? So your branding is key, right, to your business growth. The interface too as well, which is the next one, and the usability of the architecture, right, should be on point. I mean, people should be able to easily use your platform. So if it is a website or even a web app, when they open, they should know, if they've not been on it before, it should be so simple that a first timer will be able to navigate through your systems, right, and be able to catch up. Also, on the side of the workers, those who are at the back end of the systems, they should, if there's a transition in employees, right, you should be able to they should be able to catch up with the systems so that there will not be a lag in the way they need to run things, right, in the company. Otherwise, it will affect the smooth running of the day-to-day activities. Do you get it? So as it's happening on the customer side, on the employee side, to people on the back end, they should be able to also find it less difficult to navigate through things. And so some of the things that involve these things are the way you let things be found, right? And the way you present things, the font, even the colors can deter people. We have people who are sensitive to very bright colors. And so there are certain colors that people do not respond well to, right? And so you should know the choice of your colors that would favor all parties and ensure an easy flow, but it should also look interesting and also catchy. And so you see them using colors like orange, right? And so on. And so they are very specific. I think Jumia is also using orange, Temu orange, Alibaba orange. It's a color that is they believe that it holds some mystical seals, this thing, but hey, I don't believe that. But anyways, it is what it is. So, but what I believe is that, you know, the color itself is also something that attracts. It takes attention a lot, and then if you're a designer and you know how to blend the color orange, you have a palette for it, and they are all able to blend. I think your design normally is pretty loud when you post it online. You see a lot of people trying to look at it, right? So these businesses know which ones to use, right? So the people should also be able to relate with it. Impact of personalization. So we are still talking about how the interface of the e-business architecture should be simple or easy to be able to relate with, or the interface should be able to be simple enough for people to. If it's too technical, then you should know that the people that will use the systems are, some of them are even not probably educated at all. You see, so if you even look at it from, and also nowadays there are certain apps that are being created that even like blind people can also be able to use it. So if you create a web app with all these things in mind, you are reaching out to a larger audience and you are exposing your business in so doing. And that would mean that you are reaching out to a bigger market. Hence, the sales net or the market net is widened, right? Yeah, so there's a need to take into consideration these things. Very, very important, right? Information architecture, I think we are spending much time on these things, right? What data are made? The key questions that are addressed by an information architecture are: what data are made? What data are made available to users? Who are the users? Who can access the information? What roles do these users play when they access the information? What do they need the information for? Understand the context. So when it comes to building your systems for the e-commerce architecture, you should also know that, again, it is your employees who are IT or probably IT-related people, and then your customers who are probably non-IT related people. You may have some, but you should know. So how you should know that your audience, who you are reaching out to, and like I was saying earlier on, and then know how you position things, the roles they play, right? Are they suppliers? Are they employees? Are they technical people or your partners in the business? Are they people who are looking for days? I'm trying to not be taken aback. Where is Tim? Today I'm using my phone also. I'm sorry if the distraction is a lot. We are trying to use this to revise and catch up with what we have learned so far. So forgive me if these things are coming through. So I was talking about what the information architecture. So the people who need the details that you have placed on your systems, who would be accessing those things. So you should know that it's not only your customers, but also your employees, who are technically inclined, right? And you need to know the audience to know how you strategize on how to present your information, right? You want to make sure that they are not technically too technical, right? And so on. What roles these people are playing to know how they will consume the information. Okay. What they need the information for. How do they access the information and so on. So are they accessing it through a browser, through the PDA graphic user interface, VRU, and so on. All right. The information architecture drives how data and information are stored and accessed with the e-business solution as well, right? Content management. The key questions that need to be addressed by the content management, which involves what you have the content management, then you move to content publishing, content distribution, content creation. So after you create, you need to maintain, manage it, right? Know how you manage it within your business, and then how you continuously change it to suit current needs, and then you look at publishing it, right? In publishing, you look at the platforms that you would publish it on, where they are, and some of the platforms that we place these ones on, right, are the browsers, the PDAs, the GUIs, and I like to mention them in full. GUIs and the VRUs and so on and so forth. These are the platforms that we normally use to access these things, right? And then we look at distribution as well. Okay, so the key questions that need to be addressed by the content management architecture, they are identifying the types of contents, who owns and who manages. Do you see? So after the content is created, you look at which people are able to manage it, your workers, right? Or the owners, who is able to access it and change it. Do you see? Who is able to access and change it when necessary. So if you've uploaded a product there, let's say you uploaded to sell a laptop, and there is a seller. Okay, let's say you are the seller. It's not a third-party company. Sometimes there can be a third-party company in charge of the systems. Like, let's say in this case, Jumia. And then let's say you are a seller, you go to them and you want to sell, and you put your items on their platform in this one is a browser, like let's say a web app, right, or a website, and then you the seller, you don't own the systems, you don't own the architecture. You have just been given a platform to put your things on and sell, right? So they will do the management of your content, the product. You put your photos there, you put your items that you are selling and its details on the platform, right? In that case, you have created the content, right? But it could also be that you are the company that is selling the product, right? And you probably do not have individual sellers who come to you to post their item. So if, let's say, you are the one who is selling the item and then you own your systems, you own your architecture, right? You create your content or your items. You have a picture of them. Some companies have department for the photo shooting of the product, where they will edit them and make it nice, appealing to the eye. And then when they are done with all these things, the creation of everything, they get the details of the item. If it is an electronic device, they get the details of the product, right, on this thing, and then they save it. Remember, the information architecture drives how data and information are stored. And so all this information are embedded. It's even in the previous slide that we were reading. And when we're talking about the information, who needs the information, what the information is used for, and so on, and which systems that the information will be on, right? So, yeah. So when these ones are created, then now we look at who, let's say the product is now over 10 years, there's been an upgrade on that same product. Do we take that information we have down because we are no more selling the product, or we will go there and then alter the information on the product so that we can be able to change the details about that same product, right? So in that case, who has access to alter or change, right? Who is giving what pass or administrative pass or control over it, right? So this is what we mean by content management. So the ability to maintain or alter the information that we have placed there on the system is what we are talking about. So right from content creation, we move on to content management, and then we talk about the content publishing, right? So who owns and manages the content? So you realize that the owner can maybe partake in the ability to change and alter things, maybe the CEO and whoever is in charge of that department, right? So they should have, but you should also know which layers of permission that is granted to each stage, because from the owner to the worker, you can't grant the same access that the owner has to a worker to be able to manage certain contents on your e-commerce platform, right? So we are learning, right? So expiration date for the content, the process and the workflows needed to manage. So you can control all these things. But I believe that after you key in certain things like expiration, manufacture date, nowadays some people are doing it, right? Where you feel, if you fill your name in their forms, you will not be able to change your name again. As soon as you fill it, it just goes. But you can change any other thing. But there is always someone up there somewhere who has that right to also make changes to or have access to change or make changes, right? So expiration date for the content, your item that you are posting, your product that you are selling on your e-commerce platform or the e-business, right, platform, who is able to change the information or maintain it, right? In order to beat competition. Maybe you will need to change prices. You are having an event and maybe some companies are coming in to take care of some of the details of these things. Some of the prices, they are taking it down so that more people can reach out to you. Is one way of doing advertisement, okay, or promotion. So instead of spending 10,000 cedis on advertisement, they will spend, let's say, 1,000 cedis on that same advertisement, and they will use the 9,000 to reduce the prices of the products, right? And so if you have some products in there, you use that same money you were supposed to use for advertisement to reduce the prices of the product, and then you push a little advert to the few who have access to it. And then they would in turn do the marketing for you, right? Bringing people to the platform, sharing the links and all that, because they are enjoying a certain level of discount they may not be seen on other platforms, right? Yeah. So these things also help you to expose your platforms. So the process and the workflows needed to manage the content. How is the content developed and published? How is the content also distributed, right? How do people also get access to the platform? You get it? And these are all in the promotion and the sales of it. All right, so functional architecture. So now that we've talked about the soft part of things, where we have spoken about pretty much the information part of things, the functional architecture is basically the architecture that you should focus, that focuses on describing the function of the IT system. So now the IT systems you are using for that e-commerce framework, where what work do they perform? What work actually do they perform? So you see that these things are just pretty much something that you can just brush through. If you know the frameworks, I believe that a lot of us here, we are not new to how a server works, how a computer works, how storage devices work, you know, how the internet works. These are all IT systems that support the e-business, the e-commerce architecture and the framework of these things, right? So the structure, the modular, you see, there, and in this slide, I think I'm going to share with you the slides of our predecessors as well, so that you look at how things were explained. Because if you look at these slides, you'll be discouraged in learning the course in general. Okay, because he tends to use a lot of technical words for beginners not to understand, right? It's also, I think it should be coincidental with the fact that he's taking us with UGLC, how do you call it? CBAS 210. It's amazing, ain't it? Okay, so the functional architecture should focus on describing the function of the IT systems. So all these things that we mentioned, the systems that we mentioned, what are the functions of it? Okay, so we can elaborate later on. Our data architecture includes a thorough analysis, right? What data needs will be accessed. Why is the data accessed? What is the data located? Where is the data located? What is the currency of the data? How will we maintain data integrity? What is the data relationship between data displayed and stored? How can we provide round-the-clock availability when the backend systems and databases are not available on a 24/7 basis? I've talked about all these things. Security architecture. How should your security look like? You have a policy manager that would formulate all the needed guidelines on how your security or the protection of your system should be. what should you look like? What should you look at in terms of your security, because of what you should look because of what you are dealing in. You are dealing in online products. What are some of the guidelines that should guide you in ensuring the integrity of your business, right? And so we have a boundary server as a topic that you should look at. We have firewalls. Also, these are some of the things with the protection policies that you should look at as e-business and as an e-business entity, right? These are all security systems and areas you need to look at and explore, right? In making sure that it's an all-round security. You get it? So that nobody would be able to go through and hack people's accounts. That's number one, because people need to create accounts on that the software or the web app or the website. And because people are creating accounts, their data will be exposed. So in the databases of the business, your business, people shouldn't be able to have easy access and so on. So you look at everything that has to do with security, and also you'll be doing payment on the platforms, right? Whether you have your own payment systems or you incur the services of another company to do that. Let's say you go and have partnership with Momo to come and have a payment platform on your app or your website, so that they can ensure the security of the payment systems that you have on your website, right? Or your e-commerce platform. Or you create your own shabby this thing that is not really protected, because MTN has been in the system. They know how the fraudsters think, and they also work with the police people now. So they know the system. They also almost always update their security protocols, their security policies, right? And so they are able to catch up with current demand and so on, right? So when it comes to payment, what plans do you have for the business, right? When it comes to customer data, how do you keep the data for it not to be exposed to hackers and so on? When it comes to the product verification, the verification is not that anybody can just come and put something there when the person does payment and they scam them. No product is sent to them. What kind of security goes in to ensuring that the items that your customers have paid, they are receiving them from the sellers, right? So all these things. So these topics over here around has to do with that, right? And I think in our next session, I'm going to go into details on that. We'll take every one of them one by one, and then we look at it, okay? The encryption and what it does, firewalls, virus detections, PKIs, authentications, that's the services to validate you, who you are, where you are coming from. Nowadays, in fact, let me use this one as an example. The software we are using today, right? The software we are using today, we are using Teams, right? Teams, do you know that Teams is taking your location where you are right now, whether you use a third-party email or the school email? It's taking your details, your location, the app or the device you are using. It has the details of the device you are using. How many times you have visited Teams, right? Since the beginning of your registration from, let's say, level 100, it has all those details. So there's someone on the back end who has access to this data. And how are you being protected with these critical info they have about you? Do you get it? They even know how many times and where you logged in, right? Since, and what devices you used. If you change your device, they are able to know. So nowadays, you see that they brought a security feature, a security feature where if you are changing your phone now, you keep getting an error. That reminds me, I need to talk to Mr. Selassie. Is he part of this class today? Yeah, they brought a new security feature where if you change your device, if the system notices that you have changed your device, you will not have access to the systems. So all these things are security structures that were carefully, enrolled to the benefit of the consumers or the customers, right? For the benefit of the customers. And so these are things that you need to look at when you are venturing into the e-commerce side, right? So the system management architecture. So when we talk about systems, so you realize that so far, when we talked about systems, it's not only the physical devices, but it also involves the guidelines, as I said, right, in the beginning, the guidelines, what also follows it, what are the rules, right, that guides and binds you to do or to have a smooth sailing business when it comes to the e-business architecture. So we have the systems management architecture, and we said that the operational aspects focus is on describing the operation of the IT system and is primarily concerned with representing network organization, hardware platforms, locations, topology. And then we also have what runs where software and data are placed on this network, satisfying the non-functional requirement of the system, performance, availability, security, the management and the operation of the IT system, capacity planning, software distribution, backup and recovery. So from the systems that you have, the hardware part of things of the systems, mind you, the systems are not only the physical devices. But in this case, we are talking about the hardware infrastructure, right? Or architecture or framework, you see, or structure, depending on how the exam will be like. Okay, so you should know all these ones. And so the systems, how are they maintained over time? You see, there should be the way, you see, the whole of e-business is such that everything you are doing should be able to continue seamlessly without any interruption. And so everything that you do, you need to factor in the fact that it can be maintained without any interruption. Even if something must be changed, it must be changed without affecting a chunk percentage or a huge percentage of your people, right? Yeah. Even it is the same with how the internet works. Those of you who will be watching the video that I'll post, you will realize that the internet is also even structured that there's a phenomenon called the what's it? The something problem. I've forgotten the something problem where the world's internet is not connected to a single server. You get it? It has a network of servers, like billions, if not trillions, right, of servers all over. And so it's not centered. And so when there is a problem with a server, do you think it will affect the whole world? It will not. Do you get it? So even if the infrastructure on which your system is running is based on that, why would you make structures that would affect the operation of your business? Do you get it? Great. Yeah. Once again, I would say I'll plead with you all to forgive us today. The rains has made it a bit difficult for us, even in the presentation and so on, a lot of things. But we intended to have a session to recap some few things, right? What we have learned, so that we would be partaking in the questions and answers when they are, as and when they are presented. So you see that from here, it leads us into the network and the types of networks and so on. And we connect back to them. And so I would entreat all of you to go through the second session, right? The second session, the slides on the second session, so that we'll be able to catch up. So that when we meet, we will do the third and the fourth before the IAs begin to drop on these ones. So before the weekend, I'll use the syllabus time, a little of that, maybe half of the syllabus time to do the 209. You see, because the 209 is also very important. The syllabus, the content are pretty, like, they are not much. We can just use a small time to do these things. And so forgive me today, the way, if you are seeing the display in a very acute, very vertical way, you could see that there are a lot of distractions around and so on. There's no light here actually, and so we were not able to project really well. But I believe you were able to get something little from today, at least to keep the mind busy for today on the very topics that you should know. You get it? So it's very, very important. I'm going to send the link to the Internet of Things, right? Internet of Things, which is very important. A lot of your exams questions are going to be around that, and even the infrastructure and the systems of how the e-business framework also functions. Okay, and so we are going to spend a lot of time on it. Don't worry about these things. I'm going to go through some of them again so that you would be aware of them. If you have any questions, you can reach out privately and then you'll be attended to. I am also aware that a lot of you are not connected to the electricity because of the current weather conditions around the country. Is there something? So on this note, thank you for being part of today's session. It was a privilege having all of you. And in our next session, we are going to deal with session 3 a little, and then we're gonna catch up and hopefully end on the session 4 as well. Yeah, and we will be able to be abreast with the class. So thank you. Have a good night. See you all another time. Bye-bye.